And welcome, and thanks for taking the time to answer a few questions for me today.
Thank you for taking the time to ask me. It's good to be
No, that's great. Actually, I spent some years in the UK, and I've read in some of your bios you did as well.
I,
And when I moved over here 3 years ago, I found that there wasn't anything for just indie authors. While the mainstream is inclusive, let's say, but there was nothing, even in terms of online kind of forums, there was nothing just for indie authors, which is what made me set up this little group we have now.
yes,
I want to put something into that as well. So I thought I'd do a little series of interviews with people
perfect.
of interest like yourself.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody thinks I'm interesting. That's good.
Absolutely. I just think it's a brilliant initiative. But I'd like to talk
It is
little bit about
inclusive.
you as a writer first and how you moved from writing into mentoring the way you have. How did that?
Um, well, I have been writing only about 13 years, maybe,
Right.
considering my age, that was late, a late
Yeah.
arrival. And I absolutely, it became part of my life. But I published my first book 10 years ago. And the reason I did publish it myself, it was with Penguin for nearly a year. And they were writing to me and telephoning me and saying that, these things take time. It's definitely
Right.
going to be published, blah, blah, blah. And then after a year, I got a letter saying that this author had come in with a similar
Oh,
idea, and they were
right.
going to publish her. She was a journalist. She was very well known. So I thought, okay, I've wasted a year time to. A
Yeah.
friend of mine was self-publishing, and she said, "Just go for it, Carolann." And I did, and I'm very happy that I did. So it just means
Amazing.
you have your book yourself, you own your copyright, you own everything, and you're in charge of, getting it out, getting it up, getting it out there.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I know you said you came back from the UK 3 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, the mainstream trade was very inclusive in
Yeah.
Ireland,
Yeah.
wonderfully easy to get your book into
Right.
shops, to
Right.
get your book out there, to be included by the mainstream community.
Yeah.
Argosy.ie were my wholesalers. So it was
Right.
all Ireland, Irish,
Yeah.
and really, really well.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the why again in a few minutes, but I had a big gap between my second book, which was 8 years ago, and my third book, which was almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
And in that gap, in those gap years, things had changed a lot. So now it's
Mm.
very hard to get your book into bookshops.
Yeah.
Possible to get an Irish wholesaler to take on your book.
Yeah.
Everything is just there's the walls, have come
Yeah.
down. The shelves have come down all over
Yeah.
Ireland. Because,
Yeah.
I know that the self-publishing market has been swamped with
Mm.
self-published books, which is great in some ways,
Yeah.
but it has made it much more difficult to get
Yeah.
in there. So
Yeah.
I, as an author, I'm still self-publishing and still
Brilliant.
sticking to my guns, but it is
You're a great
harder.
advocate.
It is harder. So
Yeah.
I write contemporary fiction and historical fiction.
Yeah.
They sort of go, my books go between the present day and the past, the three books
Mm.
that I have published,
Wonderful. Yeah.
and also the book that I'm writing at the moment, and also have an international flavor between the
Yeah.
Middle East and Spain and
Right.
Ireland. And
Yeah.
the one I'm writing now is between India and Ireland. So
Oh,
yeah, a sort of
nice connections.
a bit of connection, yeah,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
using the countries that I've lived in and traveled to, and
Yeah.
writing about them is great for me.
Brilliant. And now I see that you're also a mentor. So you do writing classes and
Well,
uh,
I
am I
started
right in
doing.
saying you have a retreat in the Dublin Mountains or
I
something about
had
it?
had a
Right.
retreat in the Dublin Mountains, and I ran that for a number of years up in Killikee, just beside the
Oh,
Hellfire Club, and it's absolutely beautiful up there. And I
yeah.
hope to start again, but I had some what I might call the wilderness years. I had an accident 8 years ago,
Oh,
and that's what stopped me writing for a while.
yeah.
Um, and I've had numerous operations, spinal operations, and
Right.
now I use a mobility scooter to get
Okay.
around. I have an
Okay.
adapted car, and I have a walking stick. But things are different. So I also
Challenging. Yeah.
give up my full-time job. I was a primary school teacher. So things are different now. And then a couple of years ago started to get back. I was all the time still giving creative writing lessons, classes, workshops, but I wasn't doing that much writing myself, and I was relying on other authors to take over my workshops at a moment's notice all the time. So it wasn't ideal. But yes, I have been given the one thing I kept up was the adult education workshops that I've been doing for 10 years now. I was attending them, and somebody couldn't make it about 10 years ago to teach, and I ended up taking over a class, and I've been doing that since. Because I had been running the retreat. So when I was running the retreat, I did give some classes myself, but mostly I was getting other authors to come in and give workshops up in the retreat. And it was beautiful. It was lovely. It was always
sounds
lovely.
Wonderful. I know in the UK there are lots of my friends attend them, and I often think, because I live in Beara Peninsula, it's so beautiful down here, and I think, wow, I'd love to organize just even a gathering and to take authors, obviously more experienced authors in like yourself.
It's absolutely lovely to have some sort of writing retreat, but also I give workshops in writing for well-being. And I did one of those last Saturday, just recently, and just we have 10 writers in meditation room, and it was absolutely beautiful. So they weren't writers. They were people who were, so my workshops are usually for people who are suffering from mental health problems or chronic illness, chronic pain, or just people who need more focus and feel that writing might give them that focus. And it's always such a lovely,
beautiful
get together.
Well, I can tell you, I've actually had 2 back operations myself last year that weren't completely successful. So my mobility has gone down a lot, but just to kind of say, my life has changed a lot as well. And without the writing, I'd be lost. So,
absolutely,
it just helps you through the tough times, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I think writing for our own well-being it's not how I started writing, but it's certainly something that I use the writing for a lot now, doing free writing, just to get.
I love free writing.
Just to feel better.
Yes.
Just feel better.
Get it all out there, right? Yeah. That's fabulous. So let's talk about the CAP Awards and how it was all conceived. Such a wonderful thing. I'm so behind it. I'm so excited about it, actually. Where did the idea come from?
The idea came from me literally lying on my back, not able to do anything else. And I just felt, what was the one thing that I wished I'd had as a self-published writer when I was writing, is some sort of tick to say your book is, apart from the fact that I knew Penguin had been taking on my book, and I believed in it because of that, and for a number of other reasons I believed that I could write. To have a tick, to have a sticker in your book to say you were longlisted, shortlisted, or won an award in Ireland. And there were many awards internationally, but not in Ireland. I decided, well, what can I do lying in my bed with a laptop in front of me? I could actually set up an award. And I had thought, when I started this award in 2016, I thought that this was a very temporary thing for me, and that I was going to be up and running in a couple of months once I got over all this stuff. But that didn't happen. But what did happen was the CAP Awards. And I didn't want to set it up just for, I certainly wasn't going to make it my job. I thought at the time I would be going back to work full time. And so one thing we have a big problem, or not problem, but in our family, we use the mental health charity Aware a lot. We have a lot of mental health problems. 2 of my daughters have been in St. John of God's and St. Pat's many times. And as a family, we rely on charities like Aware to help us to get by with problems. Not just the girls, but myself and my husband, all of us, we rely on Aware a lot. And they've been wonderful to us. So I thought, if I can set up this as a charity to make, for funds for Aware, then books and mental health, double whammy for me.
Wow, you're an inspiration. That's fabulous.
It's not going to, fund Aware what they do. They have so many things that they have set up. But it would be a little bit that would be contribute to them, hopefully on a yearly basis. Unfortunately, I set up the CAP Awards in 2016 and 2017. And then just as we were about to go again for 2018, I had major surgery again. And unfortunately, it fell apart. And then just as we were about to set up again, COVID hit.
I was
So
waiting for that. I was sure
we
COVID
couldn't,
interrupted it. Yeah.
well, we couldn't send books around the country. We couldn't, pass my book to, this judge, whatever.
Yeah.
This is the first year that we've set it up again. It does feel like we're starting over, but it's been fantastic, really fantastic.
Do you think you've got more attention this year?
It feels like it's starting over again. So we got a good bit of attention in 2016, and then of course everybody sort of knew about it in 2017.
Yeah.
And then of course it stops for a few years. You have to get started again. So I am hoping it was great this year, absolutely wonderful. But I do hope that 2024 is bigger and better. It's very hard to get, when you're starting something off, it's very hard to get media attention. And of course it's media attention that really gets the word out there.
Yeah.
So I hope to have, we've had a lot more promises of media attention next year. People saying, we just didn't know. Emails.
And let's talk about the money, if you like. So you have big sponsors, and then you also have the fees from the people who enter. Is that basically it?
Yes. So we have the fees from it's €40 to enter the CAP Awards.
Yeah.
Brought it down from what it was before, because we just hoped that would encourage more people. People who are self-published writers are not getting big salaries. So tell us about it. And the sponsors, so it's wonderful. We have 5 sponsors. So they're mostly from book companies. We have buythebook.ie, JM Agency, Orla Kelly Publishing, and Emu Inc. Publishing. And the 5th sponsor is an anonymous sponsor who preferred, but she's sponsoring the sponsor, the reward of Aware, the Aware Award, which is the book cover award. So Aware wouldn't be paying for the sponsor.
That's a nice category,
Yes. So, and then their overalls, so that pays for the trophies and the general administration. So those sponsors. ESB are paying for the event. So the ESB sponsorship has mostly gone to what's happening this Friday night. The awards. It means that beforehand we couldn't have the awards in somewhere like this. It's a lovely hotel, a lovely function room. We weren't able to do it before, but now with ESB sponsoring it, we can do that. So that's where all the sponsorship money goes to. So most of what is going to Aware is really the submission fees from the
submission fees. That's excellent. Brilliant. Okay. It and spread the word about the CAP Awards. Lovely. Brilliant. Well, thanks.